Making progress towards curriculum goals while using a Reggio Emilia-inspired approach is a challenge that calls for teachers to act as researchers. Because the best way to do this will vary from one classroom to the next, depending on the needs, goals, and understandings of the children and the ways that they interact with curriculum goals that are important to the teachers, the schools, families, and the community. Listening to the children as they use their 100 languages and striving to see clearly who they are and what they're thinking are necessary to understanding what is their current relationship to curriculum subjects and goals. Projects, provocations, documentation, and classroom environment can then provide powerful ways to engage the children with the curriculum in ways that are productive and meaningful to them. Traditionally, a curriculum focuses on meeting educational goals that are meant to ensure that children have the skills and knowledge they'll need to become fully active citizens and community members. These aims are in keeping with the Reggio Emilia approach, but some traditional methods of reaching those goals and evaluating whether they have been met are not. For example, pedagogies that rely on rote learning, assessed by standardized testing, with content predetermined in detail by the curriculum, are popular in part because of a widespread assumption that children are passive, unskilled, and uninterested in learning what they need to learn, so that all that can be expected of them is to be able to memorize and reproduce facts and skills. Such views are contrary to the Reggio Emilia image of the child as innately powerful, competent, ready to learn and to produce their own creative responses. Routines such as lectures and worksheets don't help children develop their ability to use their 100 languages to learn and communicate, because these routines require passive rather than active learning. They're at odds with Reggio Emilia-inspired methods that encourage active learning. For example, teachers acting as researchers in the classroom, noting and responding to the children's interests and understandings. Class meetings and other group activities that help reveal those interests and understandings. Provocations and projects that help children form active personal connections to the curriculum and to the interests and understandings of their communities. And documentation that provides holistic and formative assessment, leading to further insights and understandings in the children themselves, the teachers, and the community. At the same time, letting the children's current curiosities completely shape the direction of their education could lead to a failure to ignite interests that might develop by exposing them to other ideas and experiences that are valued by their community. So there can be a natural tension between learner-driven pedagogy and curriculum-driven goals. But this tension doesn't necessarily need to be resolved by deciding in favor of one over the other. As is often the case with complex processes, the best resolution may be a balance that respects both aspirations. And that balance will look different in different Reggio Emilia-inspired classrooms, even when they're aiming for the same curriculum goals, because it will be balancing those goals and that class's needs and interests, and because there are so many different ways to create that balance. For example, there's a wide spectrum of possible approaches, ranging from daily routines that constantly blend formal curriculum goals with Reggio Emilia-inspired methods, to approaches that separate more curriculum-driven activities from more Reggio Emilia-inspired ones. There are also different ways to blend them. For example, the curriculum developed in the Reggio Emilia preschools in Italy includes foundational projects, which are based on fundamental concepts that the teachers believe all children have a right to explore. Within the boundaries of these fundamental concepts, there's plenty of space for each class to pursue projects that align with their current understandings and interests, making this a strong approach whenever curriculum goals focus on basic concepts that impact children's lives in many different ways. Other approaches to blending curriculum goals with Reggio Emilia-inspired processes include offering provocations inspired by specific curriculum goals and developing further activities based on the children's reactions to and questions about the provocations. Encouraging the children to document their project work in ways that support curriculum goals and reveal their learning processes and development. For example, writing down what they're thinking and learning, or creating charts and graphs of what they're seeing and doing. Introducing a concept from the curriculum in a class discussion in an open-ended way that encourages the children to reveal their current knowledge, confusions, and curiosities, and following up on curriculum-based activities with more open discussions. Arranging the classroom environment in ways that encourage exploring and thinking about a curriculum subject. And whenever possible, framing the skills and the curriculum goals in terms of the 100 languages that children can use to express their ideas and questions. Even in schools where curriculum expectations are more regimented, it is still possible to introduce a Reggio Emilia influence. Examples of this type of approach include encouraging students to respond to curriculum materials with their own ideas, questions, and confusions, and giving them space to explore their ideas and problems for themselves. Organizing group work that encourages the students to understand and learn from each other. Replacing lectures, teacher demonstrations, movies, and other passive approaches with group discussions, participatory demonstrations, field trips, class visitors, experiments, engagement with primary resources, and other active explorations. Replacing rote work such as drills, copying exercises, and worksheets with activities that ask for higher levels of thinking and engagement, such as creative writing, problem solving, and project work. Linking the curriculum to local circumstances and the children's own experiences. And supplementing standardized assessments with documentation that captures a more holistic view of development. Whether you're planning on taking small or large steps, it takes practice to learn to apply a Reggio Emilia ethic to the pursuit of curriculum goals. Some of the activities suggested in this series may help you begin thinking about the best ways to achieve this balance in your classroom. It may also help to reflect on your goals and your situation. For example, on a practical level, what are the norms and expectations regarding curriculum in the school where you teach? What community values do these norms and expectations reflect? In what ways are you free to exercise your own judgment regarding what would work for your students? For example, to what extent can you change your classroom environment? Encourage group work and project work. Let student interests guide the choice of subjects in reading and writing assignments. Let student interest guide the direction of science and social studies investigations. Reserve short or long periods in the schedule for participatory activities. Have the students practice required skills in the context of creative project work. Encourage the students to use their 100 languages as a means to learn and express learning, particularly those languages that are recognized by the curriculum, such as language arts, math, the visual arts, music, and physical movement. Include formative and holistic assessments in your feedback to students and their families. On the philosophical level, what do you believe children have a right to learn? And how are those subjects and rights related to your community's expectations and the goals of your curriculum? Which curriculum goals do you believe are currently most critical for your students? And what are the best approaches to meeting those goals? Which aspects of Reggio Emilia philosophy and practice do you believe would be easiest for you to balance with curriculum requirements? What do you imagine a classroom would look like that followed Reggio Emilia principles while also meeting curriculum goals? Whatever balance you decide to try to achieve for now, your own goals will probably evolve as you learn from the process. In the meantime, taking an approach that responds to the interests of both the curriculum and the students can help you develop a dynamic and flexible teaching style that satisfies the needs of both.